Okay, so Mathias, if you want to start to say something about the book, we are starting, yeah.
Okay, good. So it's audible, you can hear me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. No?
It's okay, it's loud enough.
Let me try now.
Right, what about now? You
But
can hear me?
yes, they hear you.
It's okay.
Yes.
Okay, good. So I'll just say a few words about this book that we wrote together, me and Andrea. So it started almost 3 years ago when I was visiting a French philosophical practitioner, Oscar Brennefier, and he suggested to me that I write something about an Andersen story, The Ugly Duckling, because he had written a book about the Russian folktale. So he said, you can do something similar with Hans Christian Andersen. So I thought it was a good idea. So I started working on it. But for me, it was very slow work, took a very long time. So after maybe half a year almost, I had written something about this first tale, The Ugly Duckling. But I continued with a few more tales. But then the following summer, I employed Andrea in this writing as well, because it would be maybe more efficient and also more fun to have a writing partner. So what we did was that we decided that we would pick 15 out of all of Hans Christian Andersen's tales, and we would interpret them, and we would do it based on concepts. So for each story, we first, when we have read it, we tried to identify some concepts which we thought were relevant to the story, some concepts we thought could tell us something about the story, concepts which could be either explicit or implicit in the story. So then when we had a list of concepts, we chose the 6 concepts which we thought were the most relevant ones, the most fruitful ones to work with. So then we picked 3 concepts each. For each concept, we wrote a little analysis of a page or so. Then we shared the text, we read each other's text, we criticized the text, we removed things, added things, and so on. So we kept working like this for a number of months, and then eventually we had finished then the book with 15 analyses of these different tales. So why did we pick concepts? Well, it's a rather clear structure, so it made it easy to write it. When you have a clear structure like this, you pick a number of concepts. For each concept, you read the story through the concept. So the concept works like a sort of prism or a window into the story. And through this concept, you try to see things which are maybe not so visible when you first read it. So each interpretation based on a concept will, of course, be a limited interpretation. So let's say in The Little Mermaid, one of the concepts we used was love. So then you read the story and you think, what does this story have to tell us about love? Or how is love present in the story? Or what kind of love can we see in this story? Or maybe we use the concept alienation, so then we can see how is alienation present in this story? Who is alienated in the story? In what way are they alienated? So each interpretation will be, of course, a limited interpretation. It will only tell us one part of the story, but it will be rather focused. So it will give us something concrete to work with. And also, hopefully, when people read it, it will give them a clear structure. So they will have a story, they will have 6 different concepts, and they know, okay, now I will read an interpretation of a story through the concept of love, or through the concept of alienation, or through the concept of transcendence. So it will be rather clear what we have been doing and what they can expect. So by analyzing these stories through concepts, it also happens that you see new things. So when you've read a story once, you see some things, but when you start to analyze it through a certain concept, immediately you see other things that you didn't see before. And also when you have a writing partner, when you discuss the analysis, the interpretation with your partner, you also see different things that you didn't see before. So writing about the stories is also a way of understanding the stories, of reading the stories in a new way. Because each reading, each interpretation gives us something new, and it lets us see something that we hadn't seen before. Then, of course, it's the question if the interpretation is the right one or not. But what we think is more important is if the interpretation can make sense. So an interpretation, of course, can be an over-interpretation where you see too much, or you imagine too much, you fantasize too much. So you think you see things in the story which are not really there, but maybe you see them because you want to see them, or maybe you have a active imaginations. You think there are lots of things there which are actually not there. So that's always a risk of over-interpreting a story. But then there is also a risk of under-interpreting a story where you just retell the story, where you just tell someone, this is what is happening. So you don't add anything new. So the trick is, of course, to be able to say something new about the story, to add something which was not visible already, but at the same time which can make sense, which we can assume is a possible interpretation or a probable interpretation. And I'm sure if Hans Christian Andersen read our interpretations, he would probably disagree with lots of them. But I don't think it matters very much, because each interpretation is a sort of betrayal of the story, because you are not staying true to the story entirely, because you are claiming that this story says something about maybe love, or this story tells us something about alienation. Maybe that was not the point of the author, but it doesn't mean that the interpretation is wrong. You know, Socrates, or in Socrates' Apology, there is a passage where he says that he went to the market square and he talked to the poets to find out what their poems are about. And he realized that the poets have no idea what their own poems are about. So if you want to know what a story is about, Socrates says you should not ask the author, but because he doesn't know. Sometimes it's even better if someone else is making the interpretation. So this is what we tried to do with these 15 different tales, finding the concepts which we thought were the most relevant, the most interesting ones, and try to make these concepts bring to light something which was not already visible, but something which we believe is some important part of the story, some important message of the story. So in short, that would be my history of this book. So Andrea, did I miss something important we should add?
Just add a couple of things from my side, and I want to say that thanks to this writing exercise we are doing together, because at the beginning we didn't have the intention to write a book. It was just like I told you yesterday to you, was a way to write, a way to training our interpretation skills, and also to make writing a kind of habit in our lives. But thanks to this, so we've been writing this book for like this interpretation exercise for like 6 months, yeah. And this exercise changed me a bit the way I read now the text, yeah. Because before I was just reading some tales, maybe, or some stories. But by using this concept, like Mathias said before, I noticed that I could see more inside the story. Yeah. So in a way, now I have this example, this metaphor in my mind. Is like to when you go to like a supermarket and you don't know what you need. Yeah. And so you see many stuff around. Of course, you can pick something, but you're missing a kind of a general direction or a general goal, or like in order to select products, yeah. So in a way, to have a concept is a kind of to have a guide that you can use in order to go through the story, to select the element that can help you to link the story to that concept. And so, like Mathias said before, you start seeing something that at the beginning was not visible, yeah. So I think now I do that in a way. Even when I read a bit, I tend, even if I don't write, I tend to select in my mind some main concept, and then I use the concept to check again what I read. Yeah. And the second thing I want to add is it's about interpretation. And another valuable thing that gave me this exercise is that before the exercise, if I had the tendency to like look for the right interpretation every time I was reading something, yeah. And I now I can tell that before looking for the right interpretation, put on myself a lot of pressure, yeah. So I was worried not to find the right interpretation, and when I was worried, in a way, I was less present to the story. So in a way, I focused less on the story because I was more preoccupied with myself, not to be good or not to find the right interpretation. So I think in a way, like Mathias said, if when you read a story, you want to interpret the story, if you just think that your interpretation must to make sense in order to be acceptable, I think is in a way is a way to take off pressure from yourself, and in a way is also a way to enjoy more the story and to understand more in the story and to enter more in the story. So yeah, these are the two, let's say, additions I want to make to what Mathias said. I don't know, Mathias, because I didn't think before. I just said now while you were speaking that these two ideas came up in my mind. I don't know if it works for you as well, like that.
Mm.
Maybe you were used already before. Yeah.
No, I wasn't. So this was a new way for me as well, to use concepts to interpret a story. I think it is a very useful way to go about it. And as you say, take off the pressure to try to understand everything. So you can be satisfied with just understanding one thing. You read a story, but you don't need, as you say, the complete truth about the story. Now, if you can make an interpretation which makes you understand just a part of it, then it's good. You have something. So you don't need to feel the pressure that you need everything, otherwise it's useless. So you can pick one concept, see, Does this story tell me something about this concept, or does this concept tell me something about this story? And if it does, then it's good enough. So
yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, and plus, now I would say also that not when you read a story and you are not looking for the right interpretation. In a way, this allowed you to be even more creative than before. Yeah. So in a way, you are not afraid to, in a way, elaborate some ideas by yourself. Of course, we need to check if that elaboration makes sense with the objective element in the story, but you give yourself more space in order to think and to produce ideas. So since yesterday we noticed here, Mathias, that the student syndrome is quite spread here. Yes, in a way, this idea that there is not the right interpretation allowed you to be less a student when you do the work. So and you can enjoy your own creative maieutic exercise when you do the interpretation. Okay, all right. I think we said enough. It was just a little short introduction, but I think we gave you an idea about this book, about the process we used in order to write it. So now, if you have any questions, any curiosity or any doubts you want to ask Mathias or me, you can do it. Just remember before to speak, take the speaker. Otherwise, Mathias don't hear you. Yeah. You want to? Yeah.
So from what I understand, the main purpose of this reading and writing exercise was conceptualization, working on identifying concepts.
Yes. Okay. You want to answer, or can I answer, Mathias? You want? Go on.
Well, yeah. Okay. I would say the main purpose was just to write for the sake of writing, for the joy of writing. That would be the main purpose. But yes, the main way of doing it was to use conceptual analysis. That would be like the method that we were doing.
Yes, I would add that yes, and was to use concept in order to produce interpretation. So in a way, was both a conceptualization and interpretation work. Would you agree, Mathias?
Yes, it is an interpretation, analysis, interpretation through concepts. Yes, you conceptualize, and with the concepts, you use them to interpret the story.
Yeah. So in a way, to answer you, Alex, the concept were like an instrument we use in order to produce interpretations. So, but yes, there is a conceptualization job, but also interpretation. Yeah.
Which one is, watch out. What would you think now is most valuable? The process that you went through or the physical book object?
We are in a room. There are many art objects, so I think that's why Alex is asking this question. So, okay, you want to say something, Mathias?
Yes, I can. For me, it's the process of writing. So the physical book, it's just a bonus. It's very nice that we found an editor who wanted to publish it. But for me, the main part is the writing itself, the work that comes first.
I add something, then you follow up question. Can I add something before? So, yeah. For me was this. Yeah, the process is more important. But at one point, we thought that this process could be interesting for other people as well. Yeah. So we thought that good to share this job we have done. So in a way, I think it's important to have the courage to share what you have done. So in a way, it's easier. You keep what you have done for yourself because you avoid the other people's judgment. But I think it's also a way. It's a way to engage yourself, and also it's a way to let yourself exist more in the sense to step out, to stand out. So in a way, you need to have the courage to face the other people, or to be criticized from other people as well. Yeah.
And that's why you chose a book to exhibit your work somehow. You chose to publish a book to have it seen.
Yeah, and also to see what would be the reaction of other people. So and also I think it's an opportunity to, like we are doing right now, by the way, to speak about the practice, to speak about the process, and to speak about thinking and writing and the relation between these two actions. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. No, I had enough for that.
You know that they say that once a book is out, the intention of the authors doesn't matter anymore because the book has a life of itself. You know about this idea for sure. It's the same with other. Yeah, once they're grown up. I mean, yeah, it's like a child. So when I took this book in my hand, I was thinking how a teacher could look at it, or someone or a parent who's reading fairy tales to their children and who might take a look at this book as a guide to explain other things that are in the fairy tale than what they would see in the fairy tale. And I wonder how this type of reading, if you would see your book used by an English teacher to give to their students, look, these are other right ways to interpret this fairy tale. How would you feel about that? Knowing that your main interest was more in the process and in the philosophical practice per se, knowing that the use of this book would be in a way very different from what you are interested in when you are writing the book.
Okay, Mathias, I think you want to say something? And then...
Yeah, yes. Well, I would be happy if the book is used. You know, if it can make someone think, then it's good. And as I said, and Andrea as well, the book is maybe secondhand. It's not the main purpose, but still, we're happy that we have a book. We're happy that other people can take part of our ideas. And I mean, if they betray our ideas, it's fine. Maybe we betrayed Hans Christian Andersen, so then they can betray us. It's only fair. So, but if somebody is happy with the book, if they misuse it, it doesn't really matter. If it makes them think, then good. So yes, the child has left home and he can do whatever he wants now.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
I didn't go through maybe in the preface of the book you wrote also about your process. Did you write about your process of writing the book? Did you, in the introduction, you have some clues about that? Okay. Thank you. Someone else?
Hello, Mathias. Sorry I arrived late, but well, very interesting. The part I got. I'm this kind of analysis through some glasses to interpret complex realities is something I'm used to. When well, my background is as an architect, and normally when you study urbanism, for instance, you go to a place and you take one topic, I don't know, vegetation, lands, or I don't know, commerce, and then you interpret, you read all the signs that you can see in the neighborhood or in this particular place. In my particular experience, what I have witnessed this kind of, I have done this kind of analysis to the basis, just pulling one of the threads. I mean, I don't know, one of the topics, one of the concepts, if you want to. I had the impression of always that I got to the essence just by looking through one of the lenses. So I was wondering if you don't take in consideration the concepts themselves, if the realities that the essence of each one of the stories that you were analyzing through different glasses were very different among them, or you can pull in different threads, I don't know, love or desire, or you got something very similar or kind of similar each time about the stories themselves. Though
Let's see, Mathias wants to say something. It was clear, Mathias?
Yes, I understood it. Well, yeah, I can say something. I first of all, yes, maybe there is an essence in the story. I don't know if there is, but yeah, maybe there is a main idea, and the different conceptual interpretations, I think they kind of point to the same thing, after all, even if each conceptual analysis just deals with one aspect of the story. In the end, I do not think that they contradict each other. So if we have 6 concepts for one story, I think that they go together. I don't think that they contradict each other. I think that they can work together. So it's an interesting question. I never thought about it like this, but I think that I think they work together more than dealing with the different things.
Yeah, I would say also, I don't know if there is an essence of the story, but in a way to use different concept and to produce different interpretation, I think is a way to look the same story from different perspectives. So in a way, it's like when you try to describe a city by looking at the city from the city center or maybe from the hill that is near the city. You're speaking about the same city, but you are pointing out different elements, different characteristics of the city. So in a way, I like the idea that put together different perspectives help you to I don't know, reach the answers, but to get more near, like a more essential comprehension of the story.
Yeah, it does make sense. Well, when you get obsessive with this kind of idea, it remembers there is this tale by Borges about this civilization that make maps about the physical space, and they got so obsessed about making the most accurate possible maps. They made a map that was the place, you know, same size, same. Well, just it just popped up to my mind, so I wanted to share it.
Yeah, in a way, the map is not the place, but the map helps you to stand better the place. Yeah, it's like you know, there is an art, since we are in an art space. You say in French, you speak French. This is not a pipe. Okay, so it's a bit the idea that language is not the reality, but language can help you to understand reality. And of course, the language can also create more distance between you and reality. So depends how you use it. Yeah, you can create your own phantasm in your mind, or you can use the language in order to understand better yourself and the world outside. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Pepe. Raluca, you want to add something? And even people who didn't speak.
Yeah. If you want, I mean, I don't want to.
Speak.
It was so nice, the presentation, but I like hearing about what you have to say.
Do you have any question about conceptualization of a story?
how hard was it to find these concepts? I mean, when I read, for example, The Ugly Duckling, I saw that you pulled up, as you said, 6 elements, yes, 6 concepts. But I think there, for certain, are there more. What made you choose those 6? Importance for you, importance for, I don't know, the final outcome of the story, or what exactly?
Maybe Mathias, you could say something about the process we have been using to select those concepts.
Yeah. I don't know if I can answer the question why we chose those concepts or for what reason we chose them. Sometimes because it just felt good. Okay, here's a nice concept. I want to work with it. Sometimes maybe it's obvious. Okay, of course, this story is about, I don't know, love. We have to use love. Sometimes you find a concept and you think, no, it doesn't work. But then you think a little bit more, yeah, but maybe it can work. So then you try to make it work. So it's a bit more of a challenge. So there can be any kinds of reason why you pick a certain concept. So now I don't remember. If you ask about one specific concept, I don't remember why we picked it. But yeah, could it be in anything? But yeah. Your first idea was difficult to find all of these concepts. The way I remember it, it wasn't so difficult. We could quite easily come up with several concepts for each story.
Yes, so basically, Joanna, we agreed in reading the tale and to propose at least 4 concepts each. Yeah, so basically then we meet again in Zoom and we discuss the concept. And from those 8 concepts, sometimes even more, we had to select 3 concepts each. Yeah, and then we basically decide who was writing about 3 concepts, and so basically each analysis has 6 interpretation, starting from 6 different concepts, and we each wrote 3 interpretation, basically. Yeah. And one thing I want to add about this is that for me it was fun because even if, of course, I pick love, so I have an idea about love, but before starting the interpretation, I needed to clarify the definition in my mind about love, or about knowledge, or about greed, or about anything else. So before, I was looking for, I don't know, the dictionary to check, and often, even if I know what is love, by, let's say, thinking about this concept, I could find something that I didn't think was in the concept before, or something that I didn't pay attention so much. So I had to think about love. And then when the love concept was more clear from me, I start go through the tale again to find the elements, and I try to put the elements together in order to create some interpretation. So yes, I enjoy. At the beginning, it was demanding, I remember. But at one point, it became fun, and it became like, in a way, a break from my life, my business, my problems. Yes. Okay. I don't know. Someone else? Alex?
A stupid question.
We love stupid questions, Alex.
Is thinking an escapism from life? But this sounds more like a philosophical counseling.
Okay, Mathias, go on.
Yes, thinking can be an escape from daily life, I would say. With thinking, you can get out of your emotionality. Yeah. If you're preoccupied with too much mundane stuff, bothered, irritated, whatever, thinking can be a way of getting into your head and shutting out the outside world. So can be.
Yeah, I agree. I would add that yes, it can be an escape, let's say, but at the same time, it can be a way to look at your very life from different perspectives. So it could be also a way to reconcile with your life. And for me, it was both in a way. Sometimes when I have a hard period, I use writing in order to escape, yeah. And sometimes I use writing in order to reflect about some problems I had in my life through the concept and through the problems I find in the story, basically. So in a way, I use the story as a mirror also to look at myself and to look at my life. So I agree with Mathias. It can be both. I think writing is just is an action, but you can have different intention behind the same action. Yeah. So for me, was both. Yes.
I was looking at the list of concepts on the fairy tales and trying to see like a word cloud, which one repeats, if there are concepts that are based in more and which is more prominent. And I think it would be nice to have maybe like the same concept, but in different fairy tales.
Yeah.
You do. I know, but have a reading in this way. This is a comment. This is not a question. Another question. When I looked at the interpretations, I see that you also reference philosophers, and you don't reference, for instance, the context in which the fairy tale was written, or it was, how do you call this? I mean, Hans Christian Andersen, correct me if I'm wrong, he used influences from folk tales, but he wasn't picking up the tales from folklore. So he's in between a literature writer and a folklore collector. Is that right? Because I know there are different types of folk tales. I mean, there are those which are directly taken from the people, in which the writer just writes down what he hears. There are those which are completely invented, so fake folk tales in a way, and there are those in between. And I remember that Andersen was somehow in between. But do you also reference in the interpretation things related to his context, the origin of the story, or not?
Mathias first.
Yes, in a few cases we mentioned the context, the historical context. Not so much, it happens. But I don't know if it was a conscious decision, but we didn't want to base it too much in his personal history and what went on in his life and in his society at the time. So we wanted to make it more open philosophically in a way that we wanted to work with the ideas, we wanted to work with the concepts. So this would be a kind of work that you can do even if you know nothing about Hans Christian Andersen and his times. But of course, the more you know, the more you can use. So sometimes we use our knowledge and put it into the tales. And then I would say about the fairy tales that you have folk tales, you have literary fairy tales, folk tales passed down through the generations. You don't know who came up with them in the beginning. The literary fairy tales like Hans Christian Andersen did, yes, he wrote the tales. But he was, of course, inspired by folk tales, and he used the format and he played with the format. Sometimes he made fun of old tales and the format and so on. So I would say he's a literary writer, but inspired and using the format of old tales.
Yeah, and I think I understood why Raluca asked this question, because in a way we now after the presentation and this evening and also tomorrow and maybe the day after tomorrow, we are going to do the same with art here. We are going to some like a museum, something like that, right?
Yes.
Two different museums, right? 2 galleries and 1 museum, and basically we're going to try to do the same. So we're gonna try to make like interpretation, to use the basically philosophical practice in order to enter a bit more in the let's say understanding of the piece of art. So I think we did the same in a way. A tale can be seen as a piece of art, right? So we're gonna practice And by the way, okay, if you have some other question, otherwise we're gonna start practicing together with Mathias, because we thought to propose you now in the second part of the workshop a kind of collective writing exercise. So basically, we want to propose you to do the same, what we have done in order to write the book, by starting from a short story, always by Hans Christian Andersen. But if you have, I don't know, one last question, one last comment, you can do it. Otherwise, we start with the second part. No? Okay, so Mathias, I think we can start. You can share the screen, and maybe you can explain a bit better than I did the exercise we want to propose them and how we can do it.
Yes. Yeah, so we're going to base this exercise on the Princess on the P. So first of all, I will just read the story. It's the shortest one, it's very short. And then the exercise would be for you to first individually come up with one concept that you think is relevant for this story, that you can find in the story, explicit or implicit, and which can help us understand something about the story. Now, we have already taken 6 concepts for these stories. It would be nice if you can come up with other concepts. And then when you have a concept, think of a short explanation for why this concept. And you can write it down somewhere, but just could be just a few sentences, a little short explanation. Why do you think this concept would be fruitful to use to interpret this story? And then we will pick one of your concepts and your explanation. We will work with it. We'll see if it makes sense, if we can find problems with it, and so on. So that's the basic idea. But
let me check if the task is clear for everyone.
Yes.
Do you have a question about the task, or is clear? So basically listening the story, and then pick one concept each, and then to be able to relate the concept to the story. Yeah, and then when we're gonna pick one concept, and we're gonna try to write something together, maybe one sentence each or something like that.
Say pick one concept. I mean,
yeah. Think. Yeah. Think. Yes. So I suggest that you don't read now our interpretation of this story, because it's in the book. Otherwise, you could use the same concept. But because here, the important thing is that you do the job. Yeah. So you enter in the conceptualization process and the interpretation process as well. Okay. So Mathias, you can go on. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll read the story then. So, The Princess on the P. There was once a prince, and he wanted a princess for himself, but she had to be a real princess. He then traveled all over the world to try and find one, but everywhere there was something wrong. There were plenty of princesses, but he couldn't quite make out if they were real princesses or not. There was always something that wasn't quite right. So he went back home, but he felt so miserable because he wanted so much to have a true princess. One evening, a terrible storm blew up. Thunder rolled and lightning flashed. The rain came pouring down. It was really dreadful. Then there came a knock at the city gate, and the old king went to open it. A princess was standing outside. But good gracious me, what a state she was in from the rain and the awful weather. The water streamed down from her hair, and her clothes ran in at the toes of her shoes and out at the heels. And then she said she was a real princess. We will soon find out about that, the old queen thought, but she didn't say anything, just went into the bedroom, took off all the bedclothes, and placed a P at the bottom of the bed. Then took 20 mattresses, placed them on top of the P, and a further 20 eider downs on top of the mattresses. It was there the princess was to sleep for the night. In the morning, they asked her how she had slept. "Oh, awfully badly," the princess replied. "I've hardly slept a wink all night. Goodness only knows what there must have been in the bed. I've been lying on something hard, and I'm absolutely black and blue all over. It's simply awful." Then they could see that she was a real princess, for she had noticed the pea through the 20 mattresses and the 20 eider downs. Nobody could be that tender-skinned unless she was a real princess. So the prince made her his wife, for now he knew that he had a real princess, and the pea ended up in the cabinet of curiosities where it can still be seen, providing no one has taken it. Now, that was a real story. So, based on this, use your imagination. Try to think of a concept which can help shed some light on this story. So, Andrea, how much time shall we give them to write, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would say at least 2-3 minutes. I mean, you need just to write a concept, or you want them to write also the, let's say, link between the concept and the story already, or you prefer to do it later?
Well, I think it can be good to do it immediately, already now, right? Both the
maybe
concept and the explanation for why this concept.
Or maybe let's give them 4 minutes, I would say, and
Yeah.
let's see. Finish before we. It's okay.
Yeah.
Notice that a few people have hard time to reduce and conceptualize here. Yes. Don't write another story, okay? Satisfaction. Yeah, satisfied. Then check. Okay, Mathias, you can go on. Yes.
Yes, so now we would ask someone to share their idea, basically. Someone tells us what their concept is and also the explanation. So we have something to work on. So we need a volunteer.
More people. So you're Mirona? Miron, okay. Maybe I will. Okay. So Mirona is the person in the corner.
All right.
I found a concept, doubt, because he was
Can
insecure.
you repeat it?
Doubt,
Can you doubt? Okay.
because he was insecure. and he thought it's too hard to find something that he wished to match. Maybe the perfection or something like an aspiration that is hard to get.
Okay, so can you repeat it? And I'll see if I can get everything down here.
Doubt,
Just one more time.
because he was insecure and he thought it's too hard to find something that he wished to match, the perfection or the aspiration for something that is hard to get.
All right, so I will share my screen and we'll see if I got it right. Is this your idea?
Yes.
Okay. So Andrea, you want to take it from here?
So Mathias, I didn't understand. You want me to do what?
You want to lead the discussion? You want to work on this?
Yeah, okay. Okay, I would just ask the group if they see any problems in the explanation related to the concept, or maybe in the concept related to the story. Any problems you see? And that's what we were doing, me and Mathias, by the way, proposing concept and to check the concept and then to select the concept. Yeah.
Well, I personally didn't see doubt in how the tale is written, because they are always sure if there is a real princess or not. I mean, the affirmation are pretty categoric each time. And when they found the princess, they are sure that there is a real princess, and all the ones they were pretty sure they weren't real ones. So I didn't see myself the doubt.
So Pepe is saying that he didn't see the doubt, so much doubt in the story, right? Okay, let's check. You didn't see any doubts, like the first part or in the second part, or there is some doubt somewhere?
Actually, indirectly, you can see doubts in the seek. When you seek something, you are doubting on one hand, and you can see it much more clearly when they are trying to prove if the princess is or not. So this is why they make the proof with the P, because they doubt. So actually there is some doubt. I changed my mind.
Yeah, but you don't know Pepe, but he's kind of used to change his mind quite often. But yes, I agree with you. There is no doubt maybe at the end after the experiment, but at the beginning he was saying that he couldn't find a real princess, so he wasn't sure that this girl could be a real princess. So that's why they tried to prove with that strange experiment. So you don't have any problem right now with the concept or the explanation. And with the explanation,
Don't understand in the second phrase. This phrase makes total sense.
okay. How would you name this problem when someone doesn't understand? how would you call it? Okay, so it's unclear. Okay, it's a clarity problem. All right. Is there anyone that can clarify the second part of the explanation to Pepe? Antonio?
Yes, I think it's Miruna was saying that the prince was looking for perfection or something that was very hard to get because in their opinion, a princess is very unique and it's very hard to find the real princess.
Let's check with Pepe now. If now use the second part is more clear. So you remember the problem was on clarity, right?
In the link between, it's not clarity of the, I understand what it is.
Okay, so it's a different problem. It's not unclear, it's that you don't see the connection. Okay. So it's important to clarify the problem, otherwise other people may help you, but not in what you're asking, yeah? So now the problem is basically, it's not clear the connection between the second part and the concept, right? Okay, Antonia, can you help Pepe again with this different problem? Or maybe someone else, I don't know. You wanna try? Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see. The expression for something that is hard to get. Okay, so you see the same problem, right? Yeah. Okay, let's see if someone is able to solve the problem, or maybe we need to change something in the explanation. Yeah? Let's try. Mother like a solve problem, right?
Yes, exactly. So doubts because he was insecure, so doubting that because he's looking for aspirations for something that is hard to get, and he thinks it's too hard to find it. I'm easier for my right, but I think sentences like this. Yeah. Because his aspiration is for perfection, which is hard to get, he shows insecurity. Why? Because he shows insecurity because he doubts that it is possible for him to find it. No, it's combined. So I started with the second phrase because for me, the second phrase should be before the first phrase. It's a bit different. It's a strange topic for me. How you put at the end.
Okay, I didn't understand, Luca, why when we have maybe there is a connection and I don't see, but why when you are looking for something hard to get, you tend to be more doubtful.
Of his strengths. That's not in the text, but it's somehow implicit. That it's the problem is not the aspiration. Yeah, I mean this is the only way I can fix it.
Okay, but I think now maybe you're projecting a bit something that is not in the explanation, yeah? So, okay, maybe if nobody is able, it means that the problem is there, yeah? Mathias, I don't know if you have an idea to solve the problem, or you agree with Pepe that the second part is disconnected with the concept.
I think there is a connection with the concept.
Okay, can you show us?
Well, you can make a connection anyway. When you say you have an aspiration for something that is hard to get, then you know there is always a risk that you will not get it because it is hard. So there is necessarily a doubt that you will get it. If there was no doubt, you would think it's easy to get it, not hard.
Okay. So basically the idea, tell me if I understood correctly, when you really want something, you are afraid not to get it. And when you are afraid or you have some fears, you tend to doubt more. Is that your idea or no?
No, but I think that idea works as well.
Okay.
So
it was a
my idea
mistake
was that
worked
when
well.
you know something is, we have two ideas.
Yes.
Yeah, it did, yes. So my idea was that when you know that something is hard to get,
Yeah.
there is a doubt. Because if you have no doubt, you think it will be easy to get.
Okay.
If you say, I have no doubt that I will get it, then you think it will be easy. But if you say, no, it's going to be hard, then there is a doubt.
But why, when you think it's hard to get something, you tend to doubt more?
Yeah, understand what
Because
you
you know it will be difficult. You know it will take a lot of work.
Okay. So there are less chance that you can succeed.
Yeah, yes, that's correct.
Okay. So since it's difficult, very difficult, you need to pay more attention because most likely you're not going to get it since it's difficult. Is that your idea? Oh,
That's the idea, yeah.
Okay. This I understood correctly the second time. Okay, so who agrees with Mathias that there is a link between the second part and the concept? Just raise his hand without explanation, just to see if, okay, you convince, me and Antonia are with you, Mathias, but most of the group, no. Okay. Does anyone that disagree with Mathias as a good argument to reject the second part of, or to show that is disconnected, the second part of the explanation with the concept, or no? Because if you don't have any good argument, let's say, we're gonna stay with this argument. You have something?
I have something.
Okay.
But it's more formal than essential because I can really I can see what Mathias means, but I think everything is already explained in the first sentence, and the second sentence you don't. I mean, you can find the connection, but it's not explicit, and it's our interpretation of the second phrase. I don't see the second phrase as explicit enough.
Okay. But the idea that the second sentence contains an implicit connection, is it a problem or no? I mean, can a connection be implicit? and acceptable at the same time, or no?
Yes, but I cannot be sure if it's what Miruna wanted to say. You know, it's just my
Okay.
interpretation or Mathias' interpretation.
Yeah, you remember what we said about being sure in interpretation at during the presentation? Oh, maybe you missed that part. Oh no, you were here, I guess. No, before when we spoke about not.
Here, I was here.
Okay, so the idea is not to find the right interpretation or to make sure that that was what say again the name, sorry, Miruna meant, but is to find the meaning, to conclude that the second part makes sense with the concept. So, do you think there is a, let's say, meaningful link, even if it is implicit, between the second part of the explanation, the concept, or no? That's the question. So no matters if Maruna was meaning that. Yes. We are trying to check if it makes sense, basically, yeah, and if the explanation is acceptable by thinking. It's a thinking exercise.
I'm not even sure if the phrase is correctly grammatically speaking.
Yeah, but
But it's very problematic for me because I don't understand the subject, so it's weird. I feel very weird in itself. It's not a sentence. We have a verb.
okay, let's try to ask Maruna what she meant by that sentence, and then we decide. Yeah.
The perfection is connected with the doubt because he doubts that he can find the perfection. This is the idea and something that is hard to get.
Your idea is that maybe it doesn't exist a perfect princess. So since he's saying maybe doesn't exist, this brings doubts in the prince. Okay. Okay. So now, after the Maruna explanation, can we accept the second part of the explanation or no?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's what.
It's not what's written. It's all.
That was the implicit part, maybe. Yeah.
Yes.
Can you try, so we make Pepe happy, to change a bit the second sentence in order to make explicit what you just said, Maruna? And maybe Mathias could modify in the doc. We want people happy here, yes. Okay. Okay, so maybe you accept it? Okay, so in a way, Pepe was saying that the explanation was incomplete, right? So was missing something, and with this addition, is more explicit and clear. Okay, let's say to Mathias what to add.
Because he was insecure that the perfection exists. Just a phrase, not two.
The second part.
Yes, yes.
It would be because.
So, Mathias, Maruna meant to add this sentence in the second part of the explanation. So at the end, basically, after perfection or the aspiration for something that is hard to get, but yeah, it's
Uh-huh.
missing something.
To add it to the second part.
Yeah, but now I'm seeing that is missing something still. Perfection, aspiration, something that is hard to get. Makes the prince doubtful because, okay, so makes the prince doubtful, and then you add what she said.
Okay, like this.
No, I mean, almost doubtful because it was unsecure. Say again your sentence. Because it was unsecure that the perfection exists, right? Okay, yes, yes. So you can take off because it was insecure at the beginning now. Or no? Or we can keep the repetition.
Remove this.
Let's make the side Maruna. You want to keep it or you want to remove it? Okay, so you can remove, yes, so you start the sentence with he thought it is too hard, right? Okay. So problem solved, Pepe? Good job, Maruna. All right. So if nobody sees any other problems, Raluca?
We're also solving another problem because he was insecure means if you leave it like that, he was insecure of himself. In the first version, because he was insecure and he saw that it is too hard, I interpreted it because he was insecure of his capacity, not because perfection exists. But now you solved it by putting it before.
You are saying that there was another problem,
Yes,
but
but
this,
yeah.
so you solved two problems in once. Very good job. Very good job. Okay, so I think we have just a few minutes left. So I would suggest that we could use this explanation already as an incipit of the interpretation. Yeah. So now, I suggest someone of you add another sentence in order to follow the Maruna explanation, and maybe at the beginning, because it can be problematic to start an interpretation with because. I mean, you did the job, so it was good. But Maruna, could you maybe modify the starting part of the sentence, like if you had to start an analysis of the tale? Something like we see doubt in the story because the prince thought it is too hard. I'm just thinking right now. I don't. Okay, I suggest that we don't use the pronoun he, but we use maybe prince, which is more clear. Yeah. So okay, so Mathias, can you please remove because at the beginning, and you start with the prince. The prince won.
Yes.
The prince want to wants to get wants what? Say again. Want to get
The prince wants to get a wife and try to get something like that.
Yeah, but Maruna wanted to underline that the goal is really difficult, right? So you should add the concept of difficult here. Okay. Okay. So let me propose, Raluca, the prince wants to get something he couldn't get for a long time. So in a way, that's a way to say that was difficult for him. Okay. So Mathias, the prince wanted to get something he couldn't get for a long time. And if you want to improve the English, you're free to do it.
All right.
Okay. And maybe you could remove thought it was hard to find something, and you could add and something he wished very much. Yeah. So basically, yes, the prince wanted to get
Yes.
something he could not get for a long time, and he has been wishing for a long time, something like that.
So shall we keep too much? Wished too much? Or you want to
You
remove
want to
it?
keep too much? Okay, yes, she wants to keep it. Okay, so let's read. The prince wanted to get something he
Right.
could not get for a long time, something he wished for too much. Perfection or desperation for something that is hard to get makes the princess doubtful because he was insecure that the perfection exists. Okay, so Mathias, Maruna is proposing in the second part to add he basically wanted the perfection.
At the end.
At the beginning of the second part. So he basically wanted the perfection instead of perfection or. And maybe, yeah, you can add
remove
which
something.
is, you want to remove that part, or you want to put which is an inspiration or something that is, I would say, impossible to get. You can choose. You can remove it, or you keep. Oh, you want to keep it? Okay, let's see. And he basically wanted the perfection or the aspiration for something that is hard to get makes. Okay, so we need to modify now the last part. Something that is to make. Okay, and so Mathias, maybe you could add after hard to get, and this makes the prince doubtful because he was insecure that the perfection exists. Yes. Okay. Hard to get and this seeking for perfection or even, and this makes the prince doubtful. Yes, quest for perfection. Okay, so this is a starting point. I think it's good. Yeah. Now the problem, I don't know if we have time, but is what we have done by writing the book and the interpretation. is to try to develop the idea. Yeah. So maybe to find a connection with other part of the story, or maybe to deepen a bit the idea of looking for perfection. I suggest that we do just one step more and then we stop. Yeah, because of the time.
Much. I don't know if this is the case. It's like a problem also in work with interpretation.
Okay.
I don't see the text for example too much. Why too much? Wish for.
Okay, so you don't see the excessive exaggeration. Okay, can you answer, Maruna, where you see exaggeration in a princess, in the prince seeking for princess? Remember maybe something. You want help? Okay, Joanna.
So I agree that in the story, it is not written that he wished for too much and things like that. But because he is a perfectionist, he wished too much because he cannot achieve perfection, then he is wishing for too much instead of wishing for something more like basic.
Okay, let me add that the word "the real," in a way, real princess, maybe could contain this idea to desire for perfection. And when you desire for perfection, there is something greedy, something, some exaggeration. No, you don't seem very convinced, Baluk.
This is a desire for perfection, but wished for too much means that also his attitude is exaggerated, not only his expectation. And I see a difference between an attitude.
Yeah, but when you desire too much, you expect too much, right? Or no? No? 1 second. You expect too much. He's a guy with he has ambitious expectation. He doesn't want someone like normal. He wants the.
Say he wishes for perfection. You wish for too much. Maybe it's also the way we use English because
Something you wish. So how would you modify English there? You wish it too much. So without for. Or no?
So it's different than wishing for too much. What you do, not what you expect.
Okay. So Raluca, let me propose because of the time, otherwise we leave this problem open because it could be interesting to follow, but now we don't have time. So what time is it? Okay, so I think it's time to conclude, Mathias. So you can stop sharing the doc, and maybe we could just take 2 or 3 final comments about the process we have been doing. So we invited basically to enter in this process of conceptualization. Of course, when me and Mathias did the job, we were proposing concept. We did, in a way, we didn't check like we have done with explanation and we provide explanation, and sometimes when we saw that didn't make so much sense, maybe we switch explanation or we change concept basically. But that's a bit the idea. We have been doing a bit more rigorous here in a group. And then, and then the problem was like to basically fill 1 page of the interpretation. we wrote 5 lines, so 6 lines, I guess. Yeah. So we said to us, me and Mathias, we need to write roughly 3 paragraphs. So it was 1 page basically. And sometimes I have to admit, I don't know Mathias, but for me, I had a problem to develop the interpretation. Yeah. So I had to face the nothingness. It was hard, but at the same time, it was nice when I could overcome that moment and I could produce new ideas that at the beginning I couldn't see. And that's the idea, to enter in the story more, because at the beginning you don't see the connection you can see afterwards. Yeah. So I don't know if you want to say something about the process, about the exercise we've been doing so far. Even just if you like it or no, and why. Wait.
I was just curious to hear just shortly what other concepts the other found and if they match at some point.
Okay, so
Just stating the word.
and everyone can.
Yeah, you can. Just the name, the word. So perfectionism is mine. Test. Test.
Can you say yours as well?
Yeah. Truth. Truth.
True.
Agility.
Authenticity.
Any other? I don't know if we put in the text, Mathias, spoiled. Okay. I don't remember if
I think we missed it.
We missed it. Okay. Do you have another one now, Mathias?
I think we.
Can you read the concept we have in the
no.
book?
Not at the moment. Yes, we have sensitivity, victimhood, bad faith versus authenticity, expectation, irony, and deception.
Irony. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So you see how many new concepts we could create. So in a way, you could write your book now with your concept, your interpretation. Okay. So another, I don't know, comment or feedback?
You have more concepts in your head. Like actually, I said, how do you choose just the good one? Because I had 4 actually. It was authenticity, trust.
Okay, Mathias, so how can we choose among different concepts? Here, there is a choosing problem person, yes.
Mhm. Well, you have to stop being a perfectionist. Stop being greedy. Just pick one.
Let's check,
and realize that.
Do you see yourself as a perfectionist and greedy or no? No. Okay, but it could be an explanation. Okay, can be a way to choose some concept. Stop to be. Yeah. Okay. All right. I don't know. One more idea or comment? Who didn't speak that much? I don't know. Joanna, you want to say something? You need to be pushed to speak.
Yeah, I don't know either. So I found the exercise interesting, and because you had to pick only one concept to work on, and it wasn't mine. For me, it was challenging in the beginning to distance myself from my concept and start to think about this doubt, because I haven't seen doubt in the little. No, it's not a play. In the text. So because I didn't see it, in my opinion, it didn't exist, but I had to morph my mind into thinking that it exists and it can be applied.
Okay, so let me translate in an Italian version. You, you had a hard time to, in a way, let your own concept go and to see the story from another concept, right? Okay, you have something to say about this, this problem?
Yes. Yes, I remember when we came up with a list of concepts, sometimes you came up with a concept and I thought, no, this does not work. This is not in the story. But then when you explained it, I could see, yeah, okay, it can work. So you have to give up your own ideas and listen to the other and see if you can accept it. So
Yeah,
take a risk.
Take a risk. Mathias?
Take a risk, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, in a way, at the beginning, you have to trust a bit and to put yourself from another perspective, and then you check by thinking if it makes sense or not. But the first step is a bit, you have to step out from your cave, let's say, and to see from other people's perspective, yeah? So, yeah. You have a trusting problem, Joanna?
Oh, no, I just want to say that.
Okay, but not Maruna. Sorry, Maruna. Yeah, the only one she doesn't trust. Okay. Okay. So if there is no other comments, I think okay, we can conclude here, Mathias. It's been fun.
Okay.
A bit too hot here. I guess that in Sweden is not that hot right now.
No, it's not. I suffer
so
with
next,
you. Yeah.
Okay, so next year we move to Sweden to do the same job. Yes, okay.
Okay.
You're in Gothenburg, right? You live in Gothenburg.
Can you repeat?
You live in Gothenburg city.
That's right.
Okay. So next year in Gothenburg.
Yes.
Yeah, nothing. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mathias, to join us and
Next
to
year.
share the writing
Thank you.
process. Yeah, I see you in the Zoom because we are still writing. By the way, Mathias, they didn't know maybe, but yes, we are writing a text about the truth now. You picked the truth concept, right? Okay. So we found a different meaning of the truth concept, and we are developing the interpretation like a bit we have been doing with the tales, yeah, but with this concept. So I see you on Zoom in a few days, Mathias.
Yes. See you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.